grand day, everyone. Pray everyone is having a breathful month or life. So today we're going to tap into Scalar, Testosterone, and even the Pope. Even the Pope. Let's start with the Pope. So, read this. Shout out Blue Pill for putting me on this. How can I check my order? If you're referring to the projectors, we have about over 30 plus orders going out tomorrow. So check your emails tomorrow. But check this out. Pope Francis asks, basically, they want to invest in engineer and artificial intelligence, and they're bringing that into the church. So what does the Pope and the Vatican, what do they know? Right? I thought, or some Christians, I'm not going to talk for all Christians, or certain religious people believe that crystals and certain technology is quote unquote evil. Mind you, your phone is using a crystal, by the way. So, you're using your phone and using crystal and using quote unquote scrying to view your sermons and etc., right? Like my grandpa would always say, every time you ever hear people saying crystals are evil or meditation is evil, any of that, they have yet to read the full scope of the Bible. That's coming from a pastor, by the way. That's coming from a pastor who has sat down with many different types of religion. The only person I've ever encountered that reminds me of him, rest his soul, is Rabbi Harry. Because Rabbi Harry, the work that Rabbi Harry is doing in the Middle East right now as we speak, bringing Muslims, bringing the Jews or the Christians all together in one ceremony, it's powerful, and it's trauma work at the same time, because this goes really, really deep. So how does this all tie into Scalar? Well, all right, we're going to have to maybe do that a separate live. But hey, it's the Pope. It's the Pope. It's the Vatican that is talking about, bringing these studies of these type of technologies into the Vatican. So what do they know that the masses don't know, right? And this connects with, if you want to call it ancient technology, or I call it scalar technology or eternal technology. It's the same thing that reminds me, when I saw this, it reminded me of the Hall of Qigong and Qigong inducting Scalar. Other than a actual high official monk or etc., Scalar is the only quote-unquote type of non-human being to be inducted in the hall, because all the leaders and all the monk leaders say that it's fulfilling some type of prophecy, which is very interesting. And that's when I went to Dr. Michael's seminar, and she showed her plaques and stuff. So that was very interesting, right? And we know that, if you want to call it old technologies, or even out in the mountains where you have monks, you have 7 monks surrounding certain devices or rocks to move and let them levitate using their long horns and didgeridoos to literally levitate, keyword levitate, heavy material. And we also see this, what some people may refer to as ancient Tartaria. When you look at certain buildings, you see the trumpet. Why are we looking at trumpets literally going upwards towards certain buildings and certain material engraved in those buildings, or even the gold, or even the type of metal? Why is that? Because they also understood the aspect of levitation, right? So I want to also share this awareness as well. And it makes you wonder, once upon a time, what was the air like when all these ancient temples, if you want to call it that, what were they doing?
Frequencies, over 60,000 different frequencies, going from the scalar wired all the way here, going all the way down here, all the way here. So this wire is actually connecting to the inside of the pyramid and then going all the way here, connecting to here.
Going to the road.
Here's a cool thing. Without even touching anything. So now we're out of the field.
This is a voltage meter, by the way.
Right, let me go away.
The air is so ionized, it's already picking up.
So we're out of the field. But the closer you get to the field, the energy in the pyramid goes up. Like my whole body is tingling. Just
right
being
now,
here, because the air is also ionizing. This is not even touching a thing. This is the air alone that you're in vicinity with, and it's picking up on the voltage just like that. And the higher you go to the coils, the rodent coils, it actually goes higher and higher as well.
Those are 4, not just one big one, or a lot of you like to send me those videos.
But when you actually touch the wire now, then you get your voltage. But
yeah, functionality over looks, guys. Think about it. Really think about it. Functionality over sparkling or gold. Functionality. Functionality lasts. Functionality gets you deeper testimonials when it comes from good intentions and it comes from a good place. I'm always learning and growing from that. And someone talked about testosterone. Yeah, we're going to dive into that right now. We actually have a live coming up. So if you are really interested in utilizing breathing mechanics to boost testosterone and also improve your sexual health and lay off certain pills, certain blue pills, definitely tap in tomorrow. And electrotherapy. So let's tap in. I want to show you a patent that you can Google yourself. And they're utilizing electrotherapy because they understand that when, what's more bioavailable than any nutrient in the world, if you really think about it, is electrons. People barely talk about that. The most bioavailable, quote unquote, if you want to call it a nutrient, or I like to call it a stimulant, is electrons. That is the most bioavailable. If you want to call it nutrient or atom. Oh, 1 second, guys. All right. Let's take it back before we even go too deep in this.
That's one of those miraculous things. Apparently, the reason that honey does that is because of the frequencies of the bees' wings when they're building the honeycombs and when they're creating and bringing in the honey. So it's a frequency of the bees' wings that creates the hexagonal structure of honeycombs. It's also interesting is that the hexagonal structure is a structure of oxygenated and structured water that cures disease. This is really important. If any one of you can go and record the frequency of bees in a beehive, the buzzing of the bees' wings, and you take that frequency to a lab, a biochemistry lab, and you expose a petri dish of viruses, bacteria, and fungus to the frequency of the bees' wings, I suspect that that frequency will kill the bacteria. George Lakhovsky's multiple wave oscillator
Here we go.
Is a spectacular device with which he cured his father, listen carefully, he cured his father of quadriplegia. You don't cure people of quadriplegia, right? His father was admitted with quadriplegia into the hospital in the USA. 6 weeks later, he walked out on crutches. The way he treated him is every day he walked in there with a little small handheld portable multiple wave oscillator
Scalar
from George Lakhovsky and treated him for about 45 minutes up and down his spine, after which he exposed him to color light therapy for another hour.
Here comes the crystal
He did this
glasses.
for 4 weeks, 6 weeks, his father walked out on crutches. I saw the hospital report. It says, Mr. So-and-so exhibited a remarkable recovery. That's it. It's spectacular. They just won't go there. They will not be, engaged in any explanation. In 2011, Anthony Holland, this is now in a TED talk, show us which frequencies kill cancer cells. Very briefly. Okay, he tells us between 100,000 hertz and 300,000 hertz kills cancer cells.
Sweeping frequency.
And he shows us in a TED talk.
We now know that cancer is vulnerable between the frequencies of 100,000 hertz and 300,000 hertz.
Sweeping.
So now we attack leukemia cells.
Now you guys understanding the difference between standalone
leukemia
versus
cell
sweeping?
number 1 tries to grow a copy of itself, but the new cell is shattered into dozens of fragments and scattered across the slide. Leukemia cell number 2 then hyperinflates and also dies. Leukemia cell number 3 then tries to make another cancer cell. The new cell is shattered and the original cell dies.
Magnetrons obviously generate huge amounts of energy, and that's just sound. It's a resonant cavity magnetron. Resonant cavity magnetron that's used in laser beams, laser technology, microwaves, all use magnetrons for that technology. Sound acts as a cloak of invisibility. There's so much new information about this. This opens a whole new chapter and debate. There's very advanced new sound cloaking technology right now available. This plastic 3D acoustic pyramid acts as a acoustic cloak, make things invisible when you put it underneath it, when you expose that pyramid to specific sound frequencies. And that pyramid is reminiscent of what? Is reminiscent very strongly of Eastern architecture. Sound creates hurricanes. In 2003, these guys lodged a patent to create hurricanes with sound. And then here's another one. Sound creates supercluster galaxies. When I said earlier, the lower the frequency, the larger the cymatic shape. Now you've got a frequency that's 57 octaves lower than middle C, rumbling away from a supermassive black hole in the Perseus cluster in the key of B flat, creating a supercluster galaxy. And it's amazing. This is apparently an image of it. I like the one on the left because when you watch Hans Jenny's Cymatics documentary, that looks identical to the images of lycopodium powder on a metal plate with sound frequencies on it. This is like lycopodium powder that's creating supercluster galaxies. This is insane. So you start to get the idea of as above, so below. There's no end.
No end. And, it hit me today of, how would I describe Alchemy breathwork being a bit different when it comes to the aspect of quote unquote breathwork, right? And it hit me. I'm like, it's literally internal acupuncture. That's what it is, because we're literally riding different frequencies of breath. If you're not familiar, or if you haven't tapped in, tomorrow for the first time, I'll be allowing a public display on YouTube live, and it won't be saved unless you're a member. So we're going to be utilizing the golden ratio. I think the pyramid is messing with it. We're gonna utilize the golden ratio. Am I still here? We're gonna utilize the golden ratio with some sexual breathing mechanics. Utilizing breath. That's great. Going back and forth. All right, I'm gonna have to switch. We're supposed to be back. All right, so we're gonna be utilizing the golden ratio and flex breathing, tapping in to aid in our sexual health, also cleanse any trauma that has anything to do with sex, to help you along that journey and give you tools to also utilize in the bedroom or utilize for your own sexual health, and also boosting testosterone. Specifically, it's great for men, but it's also great for women, because you're utilizing breath as a cleansing mechanism and getting a deeper connection, going back to the internal acupuncture when it comes to those organs and that sexual connection. Remember, breath resides in all dimensions of reality. When you were having sex with that particular person, what were you doing? It wasn't just the act of sex, but you were also breathing as well, connecting with their breath. You ever really think about that? So, this will be very personal and powerful for a lot of people that will engage and utilize this. I pray you will, especially if you have any deep history of porn addiction, if you have any deep history of even sexual abuse, if you have any deep history of just utilizing your sexual energy not in the best healing way. Let's put it to you like that. And this will teach you about any urges that you may have that you don't want to give away too soon type of thing, and really learn how to harness your sexual power for the betterment of your being. So let's see. All right. Obviously the video did not save, so we're gonna tap into the video here that I made. I had to cut it up in so many different ways so it's digestible for everyone. So let's go into how testosterone is made first. Let's flip.
Testosterone made. Well, 95% of the male body's testosterone is produced in the testicles, and this is done by specialized cells called Leydig cells.
Remember that word?
Signals to stimulate these cells starts from the brain in the hypothalamus, which releases a hormone called gonadotropin releasing hormone. This hormone causes the pituitary, another part of the brain, to release LH. LH sends signals to the Leydig cells of the testicles to then produce testosterone. Then testosterone goes to specific cells around the body, including the muscle. Then the testosterone goes inside the cells and binds to an androgen receptor. The binding of the testosterone and the androgen receptor then causes a cascade of gene production, which then goes on to make proteins and building blocks for your body. How does exercise actually lead to increases in serum testosterone? Well, when you exercise...
Hold up. I think I like doing this because I can pause it and talk about it. So you heard it even from a quote-unquote doctor. You're literally producing your own protein. Is it the food or everything that you're putting internally, guys, stimulates the body? The cells do not quote-unquote eat. The cells get stimulated.
There's a release of both catabolic and anabolic hormones. That means hormones that break you down and grow you up. One of these hormones includes testosterone. This increase in testosterone also upregulates the expression of the androgen receptor and subsequently causes increases in protein synthesis. And the theory is that after exercise, your testosterone goes way up. This increases the half-life of the androgen receptor mRNA, which is the gene product of the androgen receptor, and increases its half-life. So this makes it more likely that you're going to have hypertrophic adaptation, or essentially...
And tomorrow, we're also going to go into exercises that you can utilize right after you work out to really, you're really going to feel what testosterone feels like. Just like we've done with Alchemy breathwork, where I tell people, if you have any issues sleeping, to do specific breathing exercises from 9 to 11 p.m. because around that time is when melatonin gets released in the body. So we even have things like also serotonin breaths as well. So if you will come to some of my events, I love doing serotonin breath as a staple, but not all the time. All right. Oh. All right, we're going to redo this again. All right, so is there any questions? If you guys have any questions, lay them out, and let's view the whole full video because some people just joined. So I'm going to replay it and let's dive in.
Well, 95% of the male body's testosterone is produced in...
well, they can just hit the replay. So let me go back.
Hormones. That means hormones that break you down and grow you up. One of these hormones includes testosterone. This increase in testosterone also upregulates the expression of the androgen receptor and subsequently causes increases in protein synthesis. And the theory is that after exercise, your testosterone goes way up. This increases the half-life of the androgen receptor mRNA, which is the gene product of the androgen receptor, and increases its half-life.
Hence DNA
so this makes
healing.
it more likely that you're going to have hypertrophic adaptation or essentially muscle growth. But it's important to note that there appears to be a threshold of metabolic demand or volume of work that you need to achieve to actually get the testosterone boost.
Or do you?
So in endurance exercise specifically, you will often see an initial increase in testosterone, but later, because of the stress of the aerobic exercise, your body starts releasing cortisol, and cortisol then inhibits testosterone production, which causes a decline in the testosterone.
Hence, just because you want to work out till you literally fall to the ground, no bueno, because you are pushing your body to create that cortisol. See, there's a lot of cortisol junkies and they think it's beneficial, but it's really not. There's only a certain point you really need to learn. You know, even if we were in the wild or whatever, right? And we were living in the jungle or whatever, and we had, in my opinion, maybe ancient technology or whatever, you know, there's certain stimulants when it comes to the electric air, and I'm going to get into that. But the main point I'm making is cortisol. Just because you work out till you fall to the ground, no bueno, because your cortisol is spiking like wildfire. And that's especially when you're fasting or going mainly liquids, whatever the case may be. You never, ever want to exercise in a way where you are overstressing the body to the point where you're literally flooding the body with cortisol. No bueno. It's not going to be great in the long run whatsoever. And I also want to make it clear that Alchemy breathwork is a form of passive exercise. And we're going to get into that because it relates to this beautiful symmetry when it comes to testosterone and our biology.
Particularly in high elite endurance athletes, you'll find that they may actually have lower testosterone levels. This is because the high endurance athlete creates what's called reactive oxygen species in response to stress. These reactive oxygen species can actually blunt the pathway in the brain that tells the testicles to make more testosterone. So when you're comparing, should I do resistance training or should I do endurance training? Ideally, resistance training is going to be the one thing that boosts your testosterone the most. There also have been some small studies which have looked at high intensity interval training that do show improvements in testosterone levels after performing high intensity interval training. However, looking at the data, a lot of the data says that testosterone boosts only for an hour or a short period of time after the exercise. Some studies have shown improvements in testosterone as long as 48 hours after the exercise. But it's important to realize that doing one-time resistance training is not going to boost your testosterone levels for a prolonged period of time. What about the number of sets and repetitions? Well, as I mentioned before, the volume of work is what matters the most. So you can modify the numbers of sets and the numbers of repetitions as long as you keep the intensity high and you can get the same amount of volume of work. What about training to failure? Well, one study actually looked at this. They essentially followed 40 men and they divided them up into three groups. One that exercised to failure, meaning they worked out until they could not lift anything anymore. The others exercised not to failure, and the last group didn't exercise at all. What they found was that those who did not go to failure had greater gains when doing lower extremity exercise in muscular power output, whereas those who went to failure had larger gains in the number of repetitions they could do with the bench press. But what about their testosterone? They found that the group that didn't go to failure had lower cortisol concentrations, meaning they had less stress in their body and had higher testosterone levels.
It's a key thing.
Going to failure may not be the best thing for your testosterone level.
Bingo. Like I was saying, guys, your body needs a certain point of, that's what the breath reminds us of, the contrast. That's why I personally like doing micro workouts where I'm not going for a whole hour in terms of resistance training. I'll literally split it all throughout the day. Like I'll do push-ups in the rising time. I'll do a little bit of squats here and there midday, and then I'll go back to push-ups or with the bands, however you want to break it up throughout the day versus just focusing on that one full hour. Let me get it out the way. Because, that's a beauty of what the breath taught me as well. When you're breaking it up all throughout the day, in a way you're training your subconscious as well to quote unquote keep on contrast, growing, rest, contrast, rest, grow, contrast, rest, grow. So what's more important? Is it the quote unquote intensity or the frequency? It is the frequency that is way more important than the intensity. And a lot of people get trapped in the intensity aspect versus the frequency. So when it comes to Alchemy Breathwork as well, we love to remind people to split it throughout the day. Thus, you're increasing the frequency versus let me just focus on that 1 hour out of the 24 hours that you have. I don't know how many minutes that is, but the 24 hours you have in a full, beautiful day to utilize your breath mechanics and have fun with it. Really, 1 hour? The point of Alchemy Breathwork is to utilize your full day as a meditation. Your everyday life is a meditation. Your everyday life is filled with frequencies. It's not just intensity. There's an ebb and flow. There's a contrast with the frequency of life. There is not just intensity of life. There's also frequencies. And the frequency is so important. And that is how we reprogram our subconscious, utilizing that awareness for the better.
All right, so we said resistance exercises are the best, but what kind of resistance exercises? Well, as we mentioned before, you want high intensity, but you also want to use large muscle groups. So even if you do a high intensity small muscle mass, it's not going to boost your testosterone. For example, a jump squat, which is using your lower extremities and your core, are going to have a higher testosterone increase than those who are getting the bench press. Also, things like squats and Olympic lifts can actually produce a higher increase in testosterone. What about using free weights versus machine? When they looked at this, free weights actually increased plasma testosterone levels more than those who had machine weights.
That's why I like using the bands. The reason for this is likely because when you're using free weights, you're also using other muscle bodies like your core to help stabilize. Whereas with machines, they really try to isolate the muscle that you're exercising with. What about resting periods? How long of a rest should you take? So in a study looking at intensity, number of sets and repetitions, as well as resting time, what they found was that moderate intensity, higher volume, and shorter resting times actually had a higher increase in plasma testosterone. So using a shorter rest period, in this case using 60 seconds versus 90 seconds, led to better improvements in total testosterone levels. So if you're going to do both resistance and endurance training, what goes first? Well, based on the hormone physiology, you want to use, as we mentioned before, large muscle groups, and you want to be able to have that elevated testosterone level throughout your entire workout. So the best bet for having a greater boost and prolonged boost in testosterone is to start with the resistance training first, using the large muscle mass, followed by the endurance training. What about changes in the basal testosterone level? That means your resting testosterone level when you're not exercising. Does doing resistance training actually impact that level? Well, for now, we're not exactly sure. While we've seen that continued bouts of exercise, particularly in one study where they looked at 3 different bouts of exercise, they persistently saw increases in total testosterone after each of the bouts of exercise. So we know that the resistance training does improve testosterone level even when done repeatedly. If you're exercising regularly, regardless of the type or intensity of the exercise, it does not seem to have a lasting effect on the basal testosterone level. However, we do see some small studies, particularly in obese individuals and older patients, where we do see an increase in basal testosterone levels.
levels. The theory for this, for at least the overweight and obese individuals, is that they're also losing weight. So they're losing waist circumference as well as fat loss, which can also boost testosterone levels. So if you want to see the continued testosterone boost, you got to keep doing the resistance training. That's why you never skip leg day. All right. So what if you're doing all the right things you've been doing?
All right. She's going to get into age, which not really a factor. Anyway, you're never too old enough to quote unquote breathe, right? And breathing has such an impact in testosterone as well, because sleep apnea is a huge factor in going back to what she was talking about, the brain and the testosterone connection as well. So if your brain is not getting enough oxygen to fully function well in general, is it going to give you the full effect of what the testosterone is building in your quote-unquote testes or in females in that regard? No. So even your breathing pattern has a huge factor when it comes to testosterone as well. How you breathe during workouts as well is a huge factor, because if you're working out, specifically the squats as well, and you're focused on nasal breathing patterns, then it's going to have even a deeper effect in terms of that brain and muscle connection as well, and also the chemical aspect of releasing testosterone. Yes, resistance training is the key. Keyword: free weights or bands, not just machinery that is quote unquote stationary, right? So it's great to mix it up, have fun with it. So if you notice, Leydig, I guess I should have, but anyway, I just wanted to share that these are also in the Scalar as well. So what you would do, let me go to this patent real quick. I'm going to show you guys this patent. You don't have to get this patent because technically we already have it. And what this patent does, is it's a device for simulating testosterone production in a male subject comprising a first electrode, a second electrode, and a power source. Listen carefully. Wherein the first electrode is configured to contact the skin in the pubic region of the subject, is electrically coupled of the power source by a first wire. Now, wherein the second electrode is configured to contact skin of the scrotum, which are at, your balls, of the subject, and electrically coupled to the power source by a second wire, wherein the power source is configured to deliver about 6 voltage or less to one of the first electrode or second electrode. So in hindsight, yes, you can use either the plasma projector, which I'm blasting on the side, not on those areas right now. But so I do want to say that each spark that you see coming out the plasma projector is about 1 volt. So you can literally easily do 6 volts, and then you can build up on top of that. But before even all this, I do want to share that you can also utilize the sun, because the sun is electromagnetic. And having your balls out in the sun is very beneficial as well. So you can utilize the sun while also utilizing the Scalar plasma projector. Or if you have a Scalar device, just like we saw what was happening with the pyramid, you can actually run a wire going from the Scalar. And I'm going to share Dr. Z's testimonial real quick. But you can run a wire connecting all the way to the Scalar onto something like either a tensor ring that you can also find in our shop as well, or you can get it from somewhere else, up to you, and run it all the way to the Scalar plate. And while you're sleeping at nighttime, you can, put it on your balls. Or even if you have a smaller tensor ring. I actually use a specific tensor ring, for my balls. And like I said, what is happening it's electric stimulation. Before even eating testicles and all that other stuff, you know, you can't eat 24/7, 365, right? That's the reality. But what you can do is have a continuous flow of electrons and specific frequencies that has everything to do with your biology to amplify your testosterone buildup. Not medical advice, by the way, frequency advice. So I do want to share this real quick. And this will be the final share. And by the way, guys, if you have a scalar, definitely check your emails, please, because we're putting Chicago on the scalar. We're putting Kissimmee on the scalar. We're doing as much as we can as a community. And I'm really honored and happy that you guys are actually taking action and collectively doing this. So really appreciate each and every one of you. Even if you don't have a scalar, utilizing the pendant, utilizing the stickers, just printing out those pictures and placing it on those scalar instruments. That's what they are. Scalar instruments. You know, it's a beautiful thing. It really is. Appreciate every single one of you. Okay, let's see. So Dr. Z was over here, and she was actually one of the first people that got to try this out. And it's actually been, it's been a good week since I finally connected the scalar to the pyramid instead of just amplifier. I'm like, you know what? Why not add the scalar device into the pyramid? Because the scalar going into the pyramid is way more structured than just plugging it into an amplifier like you've seen other companies do. Whereas a scalar, now you're plugging in, if you will, structured, harmonious electricity. And that's my hypothesis of also why the ionization in the air is through the roof. And I want to go over that. Imagine once upon a time, this apparently was a thing all over the world. And these buildings and these places, especially even in India, we're going to tap into India actually very soon. Let's see. And let's go into these.
Listen, really excited to see you tonight. You gotta look hot because...
That's not it. Z is funny. All right, where is it? But yeah, guys, any questions on scalar, let them fly. Let them loose. And if you haven't been to Zen and Kush, it is a really cool atmosphere. That's what Z was referring to. Let's see. Yeah, I was scalar blasting everybody there. That was really cool. And what I like to do is I would like to go clockwise, and sometimes I would also have my hand. Sometimes I would also have my hand underneath their hand, while also going clockwise, utilizing the chi around, because they're also producing even more chi as well. So I do want to share that. It's not a replacement for anything. This is an addition to your practices. You know, when you look at certain scriptures, when you read even the Bhagavad Gita and all these other books, these were built to amplify what we are. These were built to also help Earth as well. And we're going to go into some old ancient stuff. I don't like saying old. Let's say eternal, products that was following the natural rhythm of things. Let's put it like that. Can we all agree to that? So the video that Z was, she had the thing on, and I want to share, so many different things you can do. So many different things you can do with scalar.
Frequencies going into the scalar, wired all the way up, and on top of Z.
I feel it a lot. Man, I want to say this in a way people can understand.
We got an audio lag.
I have a very crazy brain. I'm autistic and ADHD as fuck. And I put this on and it made my brain feel calmer. It made... And I started sweating, by the way. I feel more grounded, less disruptive. My brain isn't... The angst is not as much in my brain right now. And that's really true. And my face is really warm. Yeah, it helped.
All right, guys. I want to share something really interesting. But one last thing. Let's go over this video one last time. If you don't know, now you know. And this is something I did for a pool party that we did, a saltwater pool party. I ran the scalar water lily into the pool and ran different frequencies as well. So, by the way, that's something else you can do. Or you can run a wire all the way to your water supply and connect it that way and really structure your home. So you can get a super, super long copper wire going from your scalar to either your tensor ring devices inside the home or to your water supply. I just want to share that it's endless. So I just want to give people as much maximum use as with the scalar as possible versus what you can do with other
Does this temple have something to do with energy? As we walk towards the main chamber, you can feel the energy, the vibration rising inside you. Is it just an irrational feeling? If you look up, you can see this advanced carving that looks quite similar to a modern day generator or even an arc reactor. What do you think of this one? This is made differently. It's not the same as the previous one. Now, what about this carving? What do you think? What about this one? Are these just fancy, meaningless patterns? Why do they resemble modern technology? Did ancient builders use advanced tools and weapons?
Now here is where it gets wild, because when you see something like that, when you go to these places yourself as well, not just watching videos, but I urge you to go to these ancient places and feel for yourself. Even me, I didn't really believe the whole Colorado thing until I actually went there and saw the trees that was vortex. You could feel it. You could being in the Sun Temple. Technically, you're not supposed to do that, so allegedly, I went in there and I touched that, however old that tree is, that ancient tree, that beautiful tree that is still standing strong in that Sun Temple. And how did those ancestors know to build perfectly made circles representing the cycle of the sun? Because the sun actually has 5 cycles. So how in the world did they know that the sun had 5 cycles of its life and to build a place of worship, quote unquote, for the sun and utilize its electromagnetic energy for their use cases? It's like, I don't know. All right, let's get into this video.
Comes from ancient Indian sources, written texts that have come down to us through the centuries. Undoubtedly, most of these texts are authentic. Many are the well-known ancient Indian epics themselves. And there are literally hundreds of them. Most of them have not even been translated into English from the ancient Sanskrit. Romance in Sanskrit literature. At least 20 passages in the Rig Veda refers exclusively to the flying vehicles of the Ashwins. This flying machine is represented as 3-story, triangular and 3-wheel. It can carry at least 3 passengers. According to tradition, the machine was made of gold, silver and iron and had 2 wings. With this flying machine, the Ashwin saved King Bichu, who was in danger at sea. Vaimanika Shastra means the science of aeronautics. To understand aeronautics, we need to understand aerodynamics, propulsion devices, materials, and metallurgy. In Vaimanika Shastra, there is much about propulsion devices and aerodynamics.
Vortex.
The focus of the book is on Vimans mentioned in many ancient epics, such as Rigveda, Mahabharata, Ramayana, and others. According to Vaimanika Shastra, these Vimans were not sophisticated flights from previous authors, but real and aerodynamically viable flying machines. The ancient Indians not only knew how to fly, but also flew in high sophisticated machines with many capacities. Using mercury vortex motors, these Vimans can remain motionless in the air and become invisible. When used in war, they can leave enemy forces unconscious and spy on enemy ships. The text includes information on how to drive these Vimans and the air routes that can be taken. Mention the foods that can be eaten and the clothes that could be worn aboard the Vimans. It states the metals that were used to make the Vimans and explain how these metals were produced. It describes mirrors fitted on the Vimans and their use in wars. Talk about different aircraft machines, as well as different categories such as Mantrik, Tantrik, and Kritak. It also lists 4 plans: Shakuna, Sundra, Rukma, and Tripura, Kritak category. According to studies by the Indian Institute of Science and Aeronautical Society of India, Vaimanika Shastra of Maharshi Bharadwaj is a pioneering work. Bharadwaj, a Vedic scholar who lived thousands.
All right, someone mentioned about Christ consciousness. Did you not? We went over this via live as well. How the saints and even Jesus himself was using these quote unquote ancient technologies. So definitely go check out that live for yourself. And like my grandpa said, y'all got to read the Bible. Y'all really got to read the Bible. Even go read that book of Enoch that the Vatican and all those kings and people took out of the Bible. Read the Bible. If you believe in that. All right? Or if you do believe in that, then you should be reading the full scope, not cherry picking from certain stories. You got to know what you're, quote unquote, worshiping, or it's a reality. That's the reality of it is. And that, in a way, it's its own spiritual bypassing, where you're cherry picking one particular aspect and you're not giving the full scope. Did you know Jesus has his own Bible, by the way? Talked about sun gazing, talked about enemas, talked about so many different things that some people, quote unquote, call new age and stuff like that. Literally, Jesus was doing all that stuff. Even talking about how even King Solomon used a particular ring. I don't know what type of crystal, but there's lots of talk of crystals and how crystals was actually aiding the saints when Jesus, quote unquote, came back, and what Jesus did and built certain things, etc. Hence, ancient relics. Why are there bones? Why are there corpses in these, quote unquote, holy churches? Why are they there? Because they were actually utilized, supposedly, when Jesus and his posse and saints came back. The saints, what they did, they dug up their past lives and utilized those corpses with scalar technology, as energy would come into the ether. And let's say, I always like to use an example. Let's say someone's arm is hurting. So the person comes into the church, or the relic, however you want to describe it, and they lay down on the scalar plate. There's a reason why old or relics, they're really called ancient relics, or I like to call them scalar temples. Why they literally look like circuit boards, and they're actually made of real gold or copper or some type of metal conductive energy. And also they had the organ pipes in there, utilizing sound healing. We talked about sound earlier and how it helps with certain vibrations and destroy cancerous cells. Keyword, sweeping frequencies. So they didn't just rely on one particular sound and organ. They relied on the whole bunch. They used whatever was available. So that person with the arm injury laid down in the middle, because before all these churches had chairs and stuff like that and rewritten history, etc., they were empty. And there was a reason, because they were made to either you meditate in them, you do your qigong, yoga practice, whatever it is, prayer, in these places of worship, or these places to amplify your worship or your being. And the person would lay down right next to the corpse, or these ancient relics, still till this day is still available. Even Jesus has his own relic right now as we speak, literally in these gold encased objects. And the reason why they have gold on them, because it's conductive. So you get an arm that is encased in this gold. You place it right next to the person. And then as the temple would, quote unquote, turn on with the etheric energy would come in, anything that's conductive. The electrical forces would flow into the ground right next to the person. But what's happening is, as electricity or energy is going into the arm, your mirror neurons, this is my hypothesis, your mirror neurons is feeding what's happening to that bone as it's encased in gold, which is very healing when it comes to cleansing. And they even did a study. This is also in the Scalar research document on the website as well. You can go check it out, alchemybreath.work. You scroll down, Scalar and Electro Research, click it, and scroll down to this church that they were about to demolish, but they learned, because they thought there was going to be mold and mildew in this church that hasn't been touched for hundreds of years. And they went in there, and it was the cleanest, purest air they could possibly breathe versus outside, even in the mountain regions, outside in the city area. It was the cleanest, because as sunlight would come in, it would hit the gold, and then the gold particles in the air would ionize and purify, especially being untouched for so long, actually purify the air, that it has a higher potent cleansing quality to it. So just learning that alone and knowing that alone, imagine what would happen when that type of procedure would happen right in midday. I think maybe, I got to look at more scriptures, but what I've read and what I've seen, and maybe what you'll see here when the end of this video, is that these type of technologies was instantaneous healing or amplifying what, again, the body already does. It just needs the environment. And again, that is what these scalar devices do. You're not creating scalar. Going back to the person who was talking about Christ consciousness, you're not creating scalar. And that's what, in my opinion, Jesus and his saints and his group of healers, if you will, that's what they were reminding the people. It's not, because it all comes from within, right? What these tools do is to amplify what is within. That is why I tell you, don't just rely on the tool, but also utilize the scalar movement and breath that comes with every single scalar device that I ship out there. Utilize that with the tools, and it will aid on whatever journey you're on to the max capacity you could possibly experience. All right. Dan Winter is pretty powerful. I did a whole thing with Dan Winter, and also making a point, how we made a point that even the Amazon jungle is technically not natural. It's man-made. The soil is proof that it's man-made. All the way down to the soil. Soil in itself is such an interesting universe, if you will. If you guys ever seen Ant-Man and the Quantum Realm, whatever that movie's called, but it shows you, it's not just happening, on the movies or whatever. That's literally what you're seeing in the movies with that whole movie specifically is literally what is happening in the soil. Yes, the soil has quantum features that is very, very interesting. Because look at it like this. When the human body decays, right, and it comes to ash, where does it go? Back to the earth. So you can't tell me there is no spirit or energy within the soil. There is spiritual energy within that dirt that some people are programmed to think is nasty or whatever. But that dirt is way more healing than you could possibly imagine. And that's what's being attacked. Utilizing things like EMF radiation, etc. Let's see if it'll pop up here. Because that has a key correlation. See, can EMF affect hormones? According to many researchers, neuroendocrine changes caused by EMF are a key factor in changing hormone function and can cause infertility symptoms in females. Scalar is going to be needed way more than ever as all these different type of technologies come out like crazy. Way more than ever. And we're now seeing, even with our ancient ancestors, they were utilizing technologies, literally flying devices and stuff like that. Let's go back to the video.
Software before the takeoff modern aviation. Not only considered flying a plane, but also decided to detect and attack an enemy plane using poisonous gases of aircraft autopilot features, which became a reality only a few decades ago. The Sanskrit manuscript was first translated into English by G.R. Josier, founding director of the International Sanskrit Research Academy, after which several studies cited it. Vaimanika Shastra deals with aeronautics, including aircraft design, how to plane as a submarine. He also described the construction of warplanes and fighter aircraft. In our next video, we will discuss how these ancient Vimans constructed and
someone mentioned Aladdin. There it is. There you go. I mean, even the stories of Aladdin, where do you think it came from? Flying carpet. Flying carpet. And just like I've shown with that video with the pyramid and how it's so powerful, it's ionizing the air. It's so powerful, it is ionizing the air. So can you imagine when all these pyramids, not just in Egypt, but all over the world, can you imagine what it was doing to the air? The air was so electrifyingly healing. Did you think people really, if it was that healing, and keyword, our bodies, our cells don't quote unquote eat, they get stimulated, right? So if the air was that stimulating, you think we really munched or hunted as some people made you to believe that we're barbaric, etc.? I don't think so. This is literally thousands and thousands of years, even before the whole aspect of, we can even go all the way down to the Sumerian people. They literally draw flying energy devices. They literally showed as well devices that they connected with the earth as well to utilize electric features. It was only later on through those scriptures and through those paintings and drawings on those walls in stone, by the way, then they started talking about food later on. So it just goes to show you, like, what are we not being told, or what is not being talked about enough? And the more we have these type of conversations, I feel the better. Does anybody want to hop on live? And please definitely join the Breathful newsletter if you want to join us tomorrow for the guided Alchemy breathwork. Utilize. That's how intentional we are. I saw one question. Thoughts on? Don't have any thoughts right now. Have you used study Russell? Yes, I have. Hey guys, but we're in a beautiful time and era that we don't have to talk about Tartaria and stuff like that look like. And you saw what Lakovsky utilized. He also utilized color therapy, hence crystal therapy, utilizing the light spectrum. You can do this with any crystal, by the way. I personally utilize sapphire. That's what helped my eyes as well. But literally crystal gazing as the sun would come in. Now you're gazing through the crystal, but not only that, you are gazing through an element in a way, but you're literally gazing through a scale. It's literally scalar. You're literally gazing through the scalar, because crystals, when it is in tune with piezoelectric energy, it gives off a scalar impulse. So what I'm going to be also doing is with these crystal glasses, they're going to be conductive as well, where you can run the scalar into those crystals, which are technically memory banks. They are the living embodiment of a specific auric resonance. That's what crystals are, at least to me. That's how I define them. And literally, our body is made up of crystals. So, just like I showed with what the Pope is doing with AI and all that stuff. You know, just like, what do the Vatican, what do they know? What do they know? What's underneath? They know something. What about obsidian? Obsidian's cool. Did you know scrying, they would use obsidian back in the day to scry. Hence, you're scrying right now. So if you're a quote-unquote Christian and you're bashing people online for no reason, in my opinion, you know, when it comes to a relationship with God, that's between you and God, or your creator, or the all that is. I don't feel it's right. This is my personal opinion, my 2 cents. I don't feel it's right going around bashing people. And at the same time, I'm like, what would Jesus do, though? And that's the same conversation my grandpa would say, too. You know, the reasons why crystals had such an impact on certain empires and even Jesus. I think when it comes to Jesus, I think it was turquoise. So the story of Jesus, even the Bible itself, you can read the Bible in first person, second person, third person, fourth person. You can read the Bible as an interdimensional book. You can literally read it as quote unquote God, or the all that is experiencing itself. You can read the Bible as materialization in terms of as above, so below. There's so many ways of reading the basic instructions before leaving Earth. So many ways. Any more questions, guys? So if you're not doing anything, 8 p.m. Eastern time, mañana, which is around the same time, definitely tap in to that YouTube live. The link is really in my story right now, or if you're part of the Breathful newsletter, which I highly encourage you to join, because I also release informational material as well, and just in case my Instagram goes down, because it looks like they're playing with it. Yeah, that's another way of getting. To answer your question, Toki, no, I don't. Still on that wave. I saw a question here. Yes, inferred is how the microbes are communicating. Ooh, keyword communicating. You know, the soil isn't dead. There's literally, you know, how do we describe dead? What is really dead? Does death even really exist at this point? Like, our definition of death, is it really what we think it is? Right? If something is alive, isn't it quote unquote moving? Isn't it, does it have animation? Right? Even though the spirit, when the spirit quote unquote leaves the body, when it leaves the body and there is no more animation in the body, you know, we may perceive that as dead. But if we go with our little microscope and see what's happening with the cells. They're still communicating. They're still moving. They're still going back and forth. So is the body really dead? Even when it comes to the ashes, technically that's you. And then as the ashes go in the soil or in other forms, however it may go, it's still communicating with the soil. So like I said, the soil is still alive. The soil is alive. The microbes in the soil is alive. The dirt is alive. The earth is alive. What you may perceive as inanimate is alive, because there's no such thing as stationary movement. Everything is moving at a molecular level, at a subatomic level, at a fast rate. Transforming. If you put a picture on the blueprint, does it have to be printed out to be harmonized with whatever intention? I mean, you can imprint your intention into the blueprint if that's what you're asking. Do you have a scalar vein? And yeah, if anyone here has a scalar and they want to hop on live, you're more than welcome to. And if you're waiting for the plasma projectors, we're sending about 30 out tomorrow. So check your emails for that, please. And remember, this whole live, to utilize it as a tool. Don't let the tool use you. Don't have one yet. Okay. Or do you have a sticker? If you have a sticker, yeah, that's what I meant. We're printing out places like Chicago, that's burning. We're gonna put Florida again, like a fresh photo of Florida on the scalar again. And then I want to take it up another notch. I'm not gonna say anything specific places. That's not gonna happen. But we can't influence certain people. But energetically, the places where they have these laws or make these laws, we can at least help steer and vote energetically through these channels of scalar to make more harmonious laws, right? So, with that being said, I have the stickers and have gotten some Nature Herself products. Ooh, that's fire. How's your experience been so far with the stickers? If you want to hop on live, you're more than welcome to. Or you can type it in here. Live keeps pausing. Oh, sorry about that, guys. Yeah, but I will put this up afterwards, so no worries. Yeah, have you been putting it on definitely put it on your phone. If you have the stickers, definitely put it on your phone. Definitely put it on your fridge if you have a fridge. Well, yeah. Put it on your, also water, your pipes. How many hours do you sleep at night? I don't sleep. I meditate. In mental breathwork, we talked about that, turning sleep into rest. There's a difference between unconscious, sleep, or turning sleep into rest. And how do you do that? One of my beautiful practices that I like doing is closing the circuit. Literally sleeping like this in fetal position, very still. You want to be still as much as you can. And the longer you sleep like this, the more you'll start to feel the pulsations come from your hands, then to your wrist, then start emanating and circulating your body, even without you doing anything. That is not sleep. That is rest. And that is also a meditation in itself. And the more you harmonize with that, the more it'll start to help influence your energetic levels, where you can heal a lot faster. The communication between the left hemisphere of the brain, the right hemisphere of the brain coming together is powerful. Oh, I see a live request. Oh, hey, brother.
What's going on?
What's going on?
So I got the Scalar stickers, I think like around summer last year. I did the projects with the like with the fruits. I did the avocados,
Oh
and I
yeah,
also did
I think you sent me pictures, right?
yeah.
Yeah. So if you want to share your own testing and your own experiences, yeah, do share.
So when I did the project, I tried to get like the most unripe, so I can like really tell like with the differences over the time period, and definitely like I'll say like in the fourth day, you could really like tell the difference in like how dark like the one that was on the sticker versus like the one that was without it. And they were fairly
And you
close to each
actually
other.
placed the avocado on the stickers, by the way, guys. He didn't place the
Hmm.
sticker on the avocado. He placed the avocado as like a plate on
Hmm.
it.
Yeah.
Because I heard a lot of feedback saying that, oh, maybe the stickers itself. Yeah, I'm like, all right, we'll have other people test it out, and you're one of them. So yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of skipping a bit, but I was gonna say I also did the four corners of the house, and I don't know, like naturally, like when people come into like the space, they always say like they feel like good energy here, like even like if there's like disharmonious, like people that aren't practicing mindfulness kind of things, like still like harmonizing, I guess in a way. I was also going to share like with the water as well. I have the scalar sticker on the water, and I have one for myself and for my daughter, and I also use the glass gallons. Um, but I definitely the other day, like I noticed like a difference in the taste of the water. Like felt like it was more mineralized as well. And even like when I pour the water, like it looks just like more like alive, I guess you could say. Um, so I've also shared stickers with people that I felt intuitively like to share it to give it to, and I've given some to family members and friends and like stuff like that. And they said they definitely like felt like the harmonizing in the spaces like around. So it's definitely a blessing that just like the technology, and I'm just grateful and honored to be able to share and impact others as well.
Oh, beautiful, brother. Yeah, thank you for sharing, and thank you for even sharing it with others, like giving it away in that regard too. We do the same thing sometimes here in Miami, any places where we are, like placing stickers in different spots. We've definitely gifted the pendant. We're gonna do it. I want to do it. I want to do another one again. Gift a pendant to the water as well, like the scalar pendant to the ocean. Things like that. And yeah, if you have any more, definitely place it wherever you take a shower. Place it like wrap it where the pipe is coming from. You could do that. Stick it on there. Yeah, but
Yeah,
that's
also,
cool. I think now I remember you're the one that was like, "Are y'all doing something different with the scalar? Because the
yeah,
water be tasting different."
yeah. I was gonna
No,
say I've also
what's
been doing
happening?
the
What's happening is more people are, you know, getting in tune with the scalar and what it's doing, and we're spreading it, and then it's just amplifying what we're putting out through those stickers as well.
yeah. I also wanted to share an experience I had with the breath. It was like around last year, around my birthday. You did it was like a giveaway, and then you showed us I think it was like the expansion breathing, like where you're like looking at your hands, and then like you're kind of like crossing your eyes on the exhales and stuff. So I mixed that and also did the eye breathing and the thunder breathing one day, and I was like outside and I heard like my name, and it sounded like someone said like, "Where's Valen?" That's my name. So I said, "Where's Valen?" And I heard say like, "He's outside." So I heard like I was outside. I did the breath, and like I guess it sounded like a ripple like whenever I heard the noise, and then like I heard my family speaking like about me when I was outside, but they were inside. So I thought that was very powerful.
You know, I also say that, you know, most of us that are aware, you know, we wish, you know, most of our family would be a quote unquote certain way, but I love to remind people that you're carrying the blood of your family, right? So that energy is always with you and echoing to them, whether they realize it or not. But you're healing generations, and you have a daughter yourself, right? So, you know, we are the ancestors. We're literally the living ancestors. We're literally coming, you know, recently born from source to this vessel, and we're embodying it. We just have to remember to carry on that frequency, and it's a beautiful gift to do so.
Indeed, indeed. Well, I appreciate you for having me and looking forward to expanding and
Thank
peace and
you, brother.
harmony.
Have a breathful night, and keep up the frequency and have fun.
I
I hope.
hope.
Peace.
Peace.
Yeah. Hey, Melanie. Melanie's in the house. Melanie, do you want to hop on live? Because Melanie has had a scalar for a very long time. Melanie, I hope you gotten the updates, been paying attention to the video updates where you can, you know, wrap scalar, run a copper wire, very long, super long copper wire. All you guys have to do is get the gauge, get the copper wire from either Home Depot or whatever. And some people that are buying the scalar, I told them that you can connect it, no matter how long it goes, just keep on adding it, and then you can connect it to wherever you shower, you know, all those places, or to your main water supply. You can also do it that way, especially for those that have houses. You could do it that way as well. And now your water is not just, it's beyond just ionization of water. Now we're talking about the hydrogen connection that has a scalar connection as well. We were live with Tony Sanctuary Den, and she also brought that up. That's a great reminder. The hydrogen connection with scalar as well. My signal is too weak. Oh, come on. My signal is pretty weak too, because the pyramids, people saying it's been pausing. So you know, hop on if you can. So yeah, so many different use cases. You can get also a grounding mat and run the copper wire from the scalar into the grounding mat and run specific frequencies that you need for your body as well. Can you wear copper alone and start an early scalar journey until we can afford these devices? Yeah, of course. You know, he was just on here. He has scalar stickers, and it's already shifting his water. He didn't even buy the scalar water. And that's another, you know, this is why I expand it as much as I can with the scalar products and what I give out, because I don't want to just sell a product here. I want everyone to really experience, even if you're skeptical, at least get a sticker and you try it out for yourself. Even do the remote scalar and try it out for yourself. You know, even for the skeptics out there, for a whole year last year, I had farmers from all over, and we just had one of them from Japan hop on live and gave his testimonial. Just from pictures alone was shifting his farmland compared to the rest. Just the pictures alone. So this is how expansive scalar is, and I showed you what ancient India was doing with their devices and their hovering, flying devices, etc. You know, it's a good reminder, guys, that the copper, the gold, where do they come from? Earth. These are Earth technologies, utilizing in a harmonious way, or could be utilized in a destructive way, like we've seen with, shout out to Michael Tellinger in that video that I played. Do you guys want me to play any video again? Because I have a little bit of time. Jen's over there making Nature Herself products, Nature Herself 369. even, you know, we also scalar infuse her products as well. So, you know, it's beautiful getting those testimonials, you know, because you guys could go to so many different other products and stuff like that. But it's beautiful getting those testimonials that are saying that, hey, I tried this natural skincare or that natural skincare, but it's your skincare that I don't break out or I don't have this and that. And it's beautiful because it also shows how expansive this really is. Whatever business you have, or if you don't have, or whatever you want to create, you can infuse Scalar in it and make it very intentional. Of course, your love, of course, but you know, when you have these type of devices, it also helps aid in what you're projecting out there. Yes, there is electro research on nerves. Someone was asking if the scalar projector could help nerves. Guys, did you not? I want to play that testimonial. If you didn't see that guy who couldn't feel his finger for years, and it reminded me when I broke my finger playing basketball. The ball literally came like this, and the bone popped out like that. And the first thing I had in my head was the time when Kobe Bryant broke his finger. He just popped it into place. So all I did within, not even thinking about it, I just popped it into place. And I couldn't bend it for so long until recently. And it shows you all these little things we take for granted. Either bending your finger, just the simple functionality of this beautiful human vessel we have that some of us take for granted. Just the aspect of bending your fingers. Do you know what it's like when you can't bend your index finger? Do you know what that's like? Or even seeing the bone pop out and rip through the skin. You know what that's like? It's not a fun experience. I'll tell you that. It's not fun whatsoever. But shoot, it is a learning experience. And pain teaches us many things. I want to share that testimonial with the nerve ending. You know, when he said that, in literally minutes, he could say, hey, I can feel my finger now. And funny enough, when we're leaving the Canadelic seminar, we get an order notification, and I see the name. I'm like, oh wow, that guy literally bought it on the spot, because he felt it himself and he could literally feel what was happening. He was like, I'm buying this. This thing is legit. So seeing that notification, we were just laughing. We're like, wow. And we had no intentions of bringing it out. Nicole was there, and normally when Nicole is with me, she likes to blast her scar. So I was like, hey, here it is. And then just let on a roll. Exactly. We're electric beings. Someone goes, yes, LOL, I'm grateful. I still have my arm roll. Yeah, we have the roll-ons now. And remember, guys, your skin, you know, when you're putting these products on, in a way, it's a form of microcurrent therapy as well, because we blast, you know, whenever she's making like she's now, I go over there and I just blast everything, you know, put some current in there, some scalar current in there. So yeah, definitely get the scalar projector. And the main point I do want to remind you guys, please watch the video tutorials, and also watch the guided the guided scalar movement and breath, because I'll show you how to utilize this with even if you do qigong practice. Like I played that video, that comment there, like, oh, this sounds like my qigong practice, so I can literally do this. I'm like, you do realize all those ancient temples, even in the Wudang Mountain where my mentor resides now, he told me, like, yes, there's actually a temple that was once said, allegedly, to have electrons literally beaming out, beaming out, beaming out. And when you go there today, you still feel a little hint of it. He says word by word, all of those temples all over the world that are quote unquote energy grids or whatever the case may be, you're only feeling 1%, no matter how strong you may feel that vortex energy. He said you are only feeling 1% of what that temple should be giving off versus the 99 that is being projected. And he said that there are certain places that will get something like a scalar projector and go on top of the building and blast it. I don't know if I should have shared that publicly, but there are certain places in the world that go on top of these temples and finally run things like copper to certain devices and reignite what once was, if you will. And it's a blissful, beautiful experience, especially when every single material that makes these ancient buildings are made with also intention, made with love, because not all of them, but you know what I mean. Made with intention, made with the intention of also harmonizing with the earth because of the type of the material, the granite, the limestone. Someone was asking about copper and fluoride. So what you would do with, I think you're referring to the home scalar, what you would do is actually run detox fluoride into your water system. So you could also do that, and you can also run things like stem cell regeneration, DNA healing, solfeggio frequencies, all into your copper pipe, or if you have a copper pipe, or into your water system, as long as it's metal. Obviously it is. So you can run it through there. And I'm going to be working with Ghana very soon in terms of developing cities and towns where I'll bring the scalar over there. And they are already utilizing copper piping there. They said, nah, we're not going to do like the Americans and what modern society is doing in terms of piping. Nah, it's going to be copper. And when I heard that, I was like, oh, I'm totally game for that. And it's a beautiful, once in a lifetime opportunity to bring a beautiful device like that to places that are progressive and, you know, they're on that type of time. It's not just developing places and let me bring rice and fund rice, knowing that rice isn't the healthiest thing, etc. I'm not going to say any names here, but you get where I'm going with that. It's time to stop playing. It's no time to play. So let's amplify places that harmonize with our trajectory of where we want human society to flourish and help one another and expand one another. Let's focus on that type of energy, if you get what I mean. We don't need to play the whole recycling, let me be like Hillary or Bill Clinton, let me go into Haiti and be like, hey guys, they need some rice. Why don't we plant some seeds? I barely ever hear foundations like that do that. That's why, I'm not going to say any names, that's why certain people are taking celebrities and being like, hey, you see, this place in Africa needs help, this and that. Why aren't we planting fruit trees? And even the person that mainly is doing this is quote unquote all about the fruits and being quote unquote fruitarian or whatever, but they're buying rice and stuff like that. That there are unfortunately some pretty harsh stories that I've been reading that is not fully coming to light here. And it's time to stop playing games. So with that being said, if you found value in this, share it, Thank you all for sharing the breath, peace, and harmony.